Okay, so the documents for today look at a couple of the big things that we've already discussed in the video, right? So one of the first document that we have here is the Fugitive Slave Law, and you can see in here the sort of sweeping permissions that are given, right? And I've only given you a few. But I've given you that there are specific penalties for the failure to comply with these warrants, right? So if people in the North object to giving over these slaves or alleged slaves or fugitive slaves, whatever you want to call them, the punishments that can be given to them. The one that I think is really interesting here, right, is number 7. If you are knowingly, so it's not only just punishing people who don't adhere to the warrant, if you're even obstructing this, right? So people, if you remember, like the Underground Railroad, the famous, the famous route that there were for um, African Americans to travel north via different sort of secret houses, right? I mean, that would be part of this too. Anyway, there's a lot of different things here. Anyway, then I give you an excerpt from Roger Taney's decision in the Dred Scott case. Now, these are sort of the first two paragraphs here are laying out sort of the historical precedents that he's going to use, but then the last paragraph here is where he sort of slams home the idea of lack of citizenship and really becomes very sort of prejudicial towards obviously the African American community. So anyway, this is, I thought, something that would be interesting. And finally, the last one here is Charles Sumner, uh, who, after the sort of Kansas-Nebraska Act had been passed in 1854, excuse me, he writes this when people are flooding into the territories to vote against or for slavery, talking about the problem to our republic and the issues that obviously are going to be precipitated 5 years later, right, with the beginning of the Civil War. But again, 1856, this is the election where, and this is, the election will happen where um, James Buchanan will be elected, which will ultimately help to bring about the Civil War. So, good luck.